Well, I'm super excited to be in Australia and continuing the Australia series, right? I mean, I think y'all are going to get sick of hearing about the Australian accents, but no one gets sick of those. So at this point, we did the FWA
Yep.
came out a week. We did Watso a week. We did Brad and Hub Australia last week, and certainly this is an exciting one for me because I've been following you for so long and seeing you post amazing content, and your spaces are super vibrant. The ideas that you have behind, we were just walking through the wheel, and we'll click on that here in a minute. Not that you can necessarily see it, but that way we can just talk through it. But Tobi, thanks so much for having me, and thank you so much for touring me yesterday. We got to check out a handful of sites, and your staff is amazing. But why don't you kind of share with who you are and kind of what your background is?
Yeah. So firstly, it is a bigger honor for me to have you here. I've been following you and your content, which is really inspiring to me. And we talked yesterday very lightly on people look at me as a breath of inspiration, and being in my presence is a big deal, apparently. But actually, my inspiration comes from a select handful of people, and you're definitely in that handful.
I appreciate that.
So it's an absolute privilege to have you here, and thank you for taking the time. Jesse is amazing at Watso. Brad is equally as amazing at Hub. So I'm glad I made the tour, or your tour. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Tobi. I'm an entrepreneur. I lived for 10 years in Los Angeles and moved into a co-working space in Santa Monica, California, out of need to compartmentalize my work life and my home life. I moved to America in 2008 to grow my North American enterprise or business, and learned very quickly that my wife would come into my spare bedroom, which was our North American headquarters. At the most inconvenient of times. I love her like nothing else, but my God, she was annoying, coming in at certain times when I'm deep in work, right? Hey, let's go for an ice cream. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. I'm trying to work. So I moved into a co-working space in Santa Monica. It was the old Google headquarters of Los Angeles. And I came alive as an entrepreneur. I never knew these sorts of spaces and places existed, and it was very, very addictive being there. I successfully exited a couple of ventures in the US over a 10-year period, and I fell in love with what co-working and collaboration and community was, and it was actually very distracting for me trying to focus on my business because the lure of community and collaboration, meeting with amazing people, was quite seductive, and I tried to stay focused. So after exiting that, and I think I did well for myself in those ventures, I decided to come back to Australia to have my kids be around their family and grandparents, and put my winnings into building what is known today as CubesCo. CubesCo being the parent co. And if you can see the screen, we have a bunch of brands that sit inside of our ecosystem. And really all of our work is putting the member at the center of everything we do and enabling their success. And we do that by creating a sense of belonging, and we do that by leaning in on everything, good, bad, and ugly. And so today, 15,000 members across 12 sites in Victoria. We've got a couple under construction in Adelaide, South Australia, one under construction in New South Wales, and I was in Queensland with you last week. We're looking at sites there as well. So we'll be a national footprint around today, 35,000 square meters, but really it's about 350,000 square feet. Successful, it's a vibe. There's different customers for different things, and it's great. I value your feedback.
I think the one word, if I could choose one word about you, and not only what I'd seen, but what I've gotten to experience with you, like live, is intentionality, right? There's intentionality to everything you do, from the execution of the business, right? And the different levels of it. And we'll jump into that here in a second real fast, but your interaction with your clients, right? Not only is it, hey, how are you? Like, you step in and, like you said, you completely lean in on the conversation, and it's not superficial. It's a very intentional conversation about substantial conversations regarding these people, right? So it's not like you haven't taken intentional time over a period to get to know them and their businesses, and for them to even be part of yours to some extent, and which is part of even your relationships with the landlords. It was super. One was a groomsman in your wedding and vice versa. another one you've done other business with and continue to do business. Some of them are investors. And so I think that's really, really cool. But even your interaction with your people, right? And it's funny, you asked me for feedback at the end of the day, and all I had was one piece of feedback, and that was, you told them, hey, do the tour, and then you jumped in, but you were also very intentional and respectful with the fact of my time, and you're like, I wanted you to hear everything. And so, but even those interactions, like seeing stuff in spaces, and they're like, well, I'm thinking about this, and you're like, well, I have some ideas for that. You didn't jump in and say, do this, do that. And so you give people room to grow. And so I experienced a lot of that. Let's go back to the intentionality around the business, and don't want to get into a whole lot of detail on these, but kind of talk about the different segments within your business, including the acquisition/merger. I don't know which word you use for it.
Merger would have been cheaper.
Yeah, for sure. With Workspace 365 here and kind of Michael's role.
Yeah. So, as you grow in an organization, or as the organization, dare I say, grows, what got us from sort of 0 to 7 buildings is not going to take us from 7 to 50. And I'm not talking about dollars and cents, but I'm actually talking about depth and skill, knowledge, know-how. I recognize that I was a great launch guy. In fact, the beautiful part about what I get to do today is continue to be the launch guy. So I get the buildings, I do the deals with the landlords, I partner with them, I leverage everything that I built internally to deliver a wow experience on site. But then I get out of the way because that's...
Well, you're brushing by that. I mean, by that is you're going out and finding the building, negotiating the deal, building a relationship. I asked you, who's your design person? You said you. Every space, there isn't a playbook, right? There isn't like this is the way we execute the design, because every space is different and has unique things. And
so it's skimmed differently.
Yeah.
Inspirationally, it's different.
Right.
But actually mechanically,
yeah,
they're all 100% the same. So yes, there's a lot of work in getting a building open, but then the day-to-day runnings, like it's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the spreadsheet. I understand that we need to make money. I understand that we're a commercial enterprise.
Yeah.
But I'm here because I want to support the people. And it comes back to the intentionality. Like when I was doing my thing as a solopreneur in my own world, in my spare bedroom, it was very lonely.
Yeah.
The bank account and the success was incredible, but actually the journey was really lonely. And so my intentionality around that is and I'll just pause for a second. When I was growing up, my parents used to say to me, we're going to go here, we're going to do that, and I'm going to teach you this, and I'm going to do that. And the reason behind that was our parents couldn't do it for us, so we want to do it for you.
Yeah.
And I said that to my kids. Unfortunately, my dad passed. So me just showing up to a soccer game, he's actually doing way more than my dad was able to do for me, and it's meaningful. But now I take my dad hat on and put my entrepreneur hat on. What I want for the people of my spaces is not what was there for me.
Yeah.
It's hand in glove in the same thing. And so these ecosystems and these spaces and the services and the experiences, I never got any of that when I was in my own venture.
Yeah.
And so loneliness is one component, but it's not an exclusive component. But then we're solving a whole bunch of things at scale in real time every single day. And so I love that. That lights me up. That gets me out of bed at 4 a.m. Michael, we acquired Michael's business, and I acquired Michael's business for probably 2 or 3 main reasons. One, I recognized the skill and talent that he had on his team. We needed that in order to deliver on my big, hairy, audacious goal. And while I've got great staff, I just turning the gun on myself a little bit, like I don't need to be the CEO because Michael's a better CEO than I am, Brad.
Yeah.
Rebecca Freestone, elite, experienced, deeply experienced in operations in flex spaces for 20 plus years alongside Michael. And there's dozens of other people. Rochelle, who looks after 330 for us. All these people are amazing. And the skills that they had were very important in order for me to be able to get up this hill, right? So that was one thing. The second thing was that I needed seniority.
Yeah.
I'm 44 years of age as we film this pod. And I was the oldest, and I didn't have a roadmap. But Michael's come into the business with Rebecca and Rochelle and a whole bunch of others with a roadmap and experience. And I was there to sort of merge the cultures and make sure that we didn't lose the essence of who we are, but actually brought in a better CEO than what I was, a better operations person than what we had, and so on and so forth across the board, right? And then the third thing is we were in an interesting situation whereby we were at 7 sites, and we either needed to stay at 7 or we needed to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't come here to just do 7. You know, I feel like we're having tremendous impact in every neighborhood and community that we land in. We're there to support. We're an and, not an or. And so we weren't stopping at 7. And so for that, you really need to get scale, and you need to get scale fast, because these things are like, Michael calls it a battleship, right?
Yeah.
You can't turn this thing like Kobe Bryant used to turn on a dime. You know, you're like Shaq. You got to take the big corner. You got to take the big corner to turn, right? And so I needed scale, and my board subscribed to that. They believed in my mission and vision. They enabled that transaction to go through. And today we transformed Workspace 365 into our corporate Cubes brand that sits under. So Cubes Co is our parent company, which is where our whole engine sits. CreativeCubes is for startups and scale-ups and people that are extroverts.
The fun, creative.
Yeah, the fun, creative, the squirrels at the rave. Yeah. The corporates are buttoned up professional services, you know, and we couldn't serve that audience in the creative environment. So we needed to. And so Workspace 365 is going through a transformation. We're not going to do anything to the current assets in terms of, there might be some furniture and fixtures, some minor superficial changes, but we're actually building our first corporate cubes in Sydney as our flagship into New South Wales, the state where Sydney is the major city. And we're going to reimagine what corporate cubes is. And I had the good fortune of you coming to our East Melbourne site.
It's beautiful.
That's the future of what corporate cubes is going to look and feel like, with nuances, obviously, because not every building is the same. And then inside of that, we have a whole bunch of different services. We have an events business, which is great business for us. It's multifaceted. It does about $80,000 a month in revenue, which is fantastic. It's a $1 million revenue business at its current size. It's growing with the NLA as we grow.
So you said 80,000. Is that per location?
Yeah, no, across the sites combined on a monthly basis. And it pays its way. But what it does, Gio, is it actually brings in an audience to from our outside. So people are looking for an event space to host their offsite, their training day, their gathering, their pitch, their this, their that. Some people have even transformed our event spaces into their own showrooms and studios, and then brought their buyers through and sold product from there. That customer isn't looking for office space. At least I don't think they're looking for office space. But they come in and they're like, what is this place? This is amazing. And we acquire new members from every single.
It's a great BD opportunity, right? To just surprise and delight people like we talked about, to have them be like, this space is super vibrant, super cool. And then on top of that, your hospitality and how your team executes.
Exactly. So the hospitality side of it. But actually, if you just talk to that customer, we'll talk through the whole scenarios. They come in, they're like, holy moly, this is amazing. Then they go, what do you mean I can rent a meeting room by the hour? How do I do that? Well, if you download our app, book it like you book an Uber or an Airbnb. Then it's F&B. And so we slot in F&B to support that. And now all of a sudden that 80,000 is 130,000 a month. And we control our F&B. Our F&B division is a point of sale cafe. It's a meeting room catering business, because some people come in, maybe they come in for an hour and they want a nice coffee and they get served by the barista. But maybe they're there for half a day and they need snacks and lunch and all the rest of it. And then it's a catering business for our event space. So that drags our revenue from 80K in venue rental to 130,000 in total spend. Both of them are operating at profitable levels. And it's a nice value add to the community because it brings in thousands of people every month that have no interest in or no knowledge of who we are. And slowly they convert over time. And then you've got our Rise network, which is becoming quite significant. It's a peer-to-peer. It's not a networking, like you're not going there to network, you're actually going there to be vulnerable. Dare I say, pull your pants down and expose yourself for, not literally, but expose yourself and your challenges and be real and vulnerable. I can't talk about what goes on in the cohorts because they are sacred, but we're supporting our members. We used to support EO, Entrepreneur Org, and YPO.
Yeah.
And we used to support them because I thought some of their members would come to us and some of our members would go to them. But after 7 years, there actually was no real crossover. And the crossover fell off because it was too expensive or it didn't relate. And so Rise is serving the underserved at a price point that is digestible. Impact is quite significant.
Well, and I think the cool part about that, and you and I briefly talked on it, it's almost like an incubator, right? Is you have peers that are mentoring each other, and the goal is you're able to share stuff with people that they would never, they haven't been to America, right? They haven't built a business in LA. They don't have your creative mind. Back to you and Michael being total polar opposites, but you make each other better by understanding that you don't have a skill set. And that's what I love about YPO and Rise and stuff like that. But even the ability to go, you see opportunities and you bring them in and give them, I mean, like you said, part of the goal behind the entire CreativeCube ecosystem is to help people be successful.
Enable success. For the record, Michael and I, one-on-one, far greater than 2. Michael and I combined are at least a 10, if not 20, right? We are polar opposites to each other, but highly complementary.
Yeah.
In every aspect. And so I don't envy his role, and I don't think he envies mine, but like, my goodness, the two of us together are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're hyper-focused on the customer. And to the incubator side of things, it's not about incubation as much as come here and we will help do this. It's just about being kind. It's just about building spaces that inspire. It's allowing people to come into the network that are going to value add, not detract. So, what that old saying, one bad apple spoils the cart. We try and prevent people from coming in because we want to preserve the ecosystem that we have. But then when they come in, we do a fantastic program through our media, our marketing team, where we're running ads on our screens to promote our members. And then I've done, podcasts and vlogs for 10 years now. I bring our member on to help them amplify their story, and it's about them. It's not about me trying to run a show,
Yeah.
but it's about me bringing them into an environment that they're quite vulnerable in. I hold their hand, not literally, and I help them tell their story in a fun way that then ultimately when I load it to our channels, they get customers, they get inquiry, and it's, again, we're just enabling.
And that's the incubation part to me is, right? A lot of times people think that incubators own the business, and they do in some cases, but you're invested in the people, right? And their success. And from, what interaction we've had, if you can tag along and be part of that journey, then you will. But kind of like your customers do with you, they're like, I want to invest with you, but I also want to participate to some extent, right? Whether it be on the chairman of your board, you mentioned that, or your buddies that are like, yeah, we also want you in our building, right? And so I think that's the really cool part is, I tell people we do life together, right? And when I say that, I really do mean that. I mean, my interaction with Jamie, for example, is not just on the podcast, not just colleague. I ask about her husband, her kids. There's even been some coaching with her on different things because we just look at things. We have very different personalities, and so that's where I create the stickiness with the relationships I've built. And I think that's what I value most about people like you is you don't just show up and, punch the clock, do what you need to do. I mean, you called me last night at 8:00 at night because you're like, hey, I was thinking about this. And then again, you called me this morning or started texting me because you were listening to the podcast, and you're thinking outside the box. And like, for example, using the keynote as an example that I got the opportunity to do in Brisbane is the co-working conversation for me is a way to encourage, inspire, and motivate people. And it's not on a professional basis. It's the messages I've gotten since that have been like, thank you so much for being open and transparent and vulnerable. It hasn't been, oh my gosh, that one thing you said changed everything. But it causes people to really listen and respect you. And I think that's what I've seen most is, when people see you living out what you're saying, right? This isn't you're just offering, and that goes back to kind of the Regis, ServCorp, even corporate cubes, the way it was previously built, it was meant to give people a place to go and do their stuff and be good at it. but these people are actually getting to see you execute, right? They're getting to see you execute with Rise Network. They're getting you to execute with Mic Drop and Timber Greens, which we're about to get into, which is the F&B component. And so you're thinking outside the box with the media and everything else, so you can add value to them in a different way than someone that's just offering space.
That's right. It's all about our why.
Yeah.
We exist to enable success. And every day I play to that. And the reason why I play hard to it is because it wasn't there. You know, a lot of this stuff is very transactional. I pride myself on being an entrepreneur, but I pride myself moreover on being the people's entrepreneur.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm always looking out for everyone else. And I'm playing long. I know I'll win something along the way, but I'm not trying to what's in it for me on every deal. Just serve the people and good things will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I live by the quote that is, if you help enough people get to where they're trying to get, you'll get where you want to get, right? And I think that's just part of it. So often we're so focused on what we're getting out of the transaction, and I'm huge on that. Like when I do deals, commission-wise, I don't even crunch that until the deal's done, because number one, I think it's jinxing it, but number two, now my advising of you on a deal is based off of what I'm going to get out of it. Right. And so I think anytime we can remove ourselves from that and just do what's best and do what's right. And I tell people all the time, I just like sleeping well at night. Right. And if we do the right thing, we do that. And so, you know, I think that's part of the exciting part with what you get to do with entrepreneurs, right? Is you get to pour into them and help them grow and see them grow. Right. You've got people, I think you mentioned 5 years is the average that people stay with you. And that's because you've created that stickiness, right? You've created the culture.
It was interesting, right? Because you know, you speak to landlords, you speak to real estate people, and you speak to other people in business, and they're like, you're a flight risk. You're taking a long-term lease and cutting it up into short-term occupancy. That sounds risky to me. Actually, I think the opposite. And when you think about us compared to a hotel, I get that the hotelier is it's a very well-established industry. But like, I might stay at a hotel. You're a bit different. You're only work 120 days a year, is what I remember. I think you're elite and unique in that department. But for us average Joes, I might go to the same hotel, maybe, or not the hotel, but the same group, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm seeing my customer every single day, you know, and I'm seeing them almost every single day. They're here under contract every single day, and they stay 5 years.
Yeah.
And so whilst you're taking a 12-month term, you can come day to day with me. I don't care. You choose your own adventure, but the space itself is highly addictive. It's never been the same. Like, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. It's never the same day every day. It's always different. There's different energy in the building. There's different people in the space. You know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, high part of the bell curve. Mondays and Fridays a little bit quieter. I get to do my deeper work on Fridays and Mondays. So.
Well, I want to be intentionally disruptive right now. So look down at your phone and 44, right? It's 10:44. We're sitting today, and I'm joking about to say this, but just you were able to share a piece of your story, and I don't take those things lightly. So thank you for trusting me with that. But why don't we talk about 44 and what it means to you, and why so much of your world revolves around it? Why just even thinking about it for me, it tears me up, as I know it moves you too, right? I mean, I had 44 on a gift that I was able to give you, and you're like, I've got the chills, right? And so let's talk about that. So 44.
So I think a lot of who we are is because of what's happened to us. And a lot of people can't see the positivity in some of the real bad stuff that happens. And it's hard. I'm a glass always half full. You could shit on my table right now. I'd find something positive to say about it.
Let's polish it.
Yeah. It'd be something positive. For me, at the age of 14, my dad, Tobi Skovron, got sick. He had an aneurysm, and it took him 2 years to sort of pass. He died at the age of 44. And for a long time, I would see, even to today, I would see a lot of 44s around. And I never really thought too much of it, other than as I started to approach, I'm in my 44th year now, I started with my sisters and my mom, I see this 44 around all the time. And my mom's like, me too. And my sister's like, us too, you know, not that we'd actually spoken about it before. We're like, yes. And so I've used that to my advantage in business. I think about my dad every day. I wake up at 4:04. It used to be 4:44, but it's now 4:04 just to get more stuff done. I hate sleeping. Not that I can't sleep. I sleep like a log, but I'm done. Like, I need 6 hours. And my daughter the other day described it perfectly. Maddie said, Dad, I'm tired from being tired. I'm not tired. I just want to get up and go, but I'm lying here and I've had enough. Anyway, I feel the same way, babe. So like, let's get on with it, right? So my office door number is 44. And really 44 for me is my dad.
Yeah.
If I'm on the right path, if I'm in like a real crunch and a real bad situation or a fork in the road or a really great situation, if I see that 44, for me, whether it's my battery on my phone or even on my car, the time that was a minute ago, obviously I manipulated my office number here. I don't think we have.
But there's things you can't manipulate. We're driving from one location to the other. You're telling me this story. We're at a light and I look up and there's 44 plus 4 on the side of a gas station for some promotion they're running. What are the chances of that, right?
So I think, I'm very spiritual.
Yeah.
Some of your listeners are like, this guy's a bit of hocus pocus. For me, it's a guiding light. If I find myself in a crunch and I don't see the 44, I bow out. If I find myself in a fork in the road and I see 44, I feel comforted that this is the path that I should be on. And I think about my dad every day. Having said that, I had a very hard conversation with my mom about 3 or 4 summers ago. I said to her, I'd do anything to have Dad back. I really would. You tell me you have to do this and he comes back, I would absolutely do it. And there's no limit to what I would do. But actually, I wouldn't be who I am. And so if that changes who I am because he's no longer, and that void is there and he's no longer there, then I love who I am.
Yeah.
And so that was tough for my mom to hear, but she understood. And it's just me trying to make positive out of the negative. So 44 is a big thing for me. I've done vlogs and pods on it. I wake up at that time. When I used to wake up at 4:44, he's like, why are you waking up at 4:44? Well, I'm gonna get up at 5 o'clock. Might as well wake up 4:44 and just honor my dad for 16 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's been gone 30 years now. I'm about to punch through in October to 45. So I've outlived my dad's time on earth. But he's with me on everything I do. I also get annoyed with him because I've got this constant hand in my back. I have to be the man of the house for my sisters and my mom, even though they're both married. And, I've got to be the man of the house to my girls and my wife. And I feel like I talked to you a little bit earlier about the people's entrepreneur. I feel like I'm blazing this trail to just make sure people that are coming in behind me aren't in the mud. They're on this nice path that I've created for them in a space that's safe amongst people that are good quality people. And so for me, it's more like co-working.
Yeah, and for me, obviously, and we briefly had the discussion about it, but for me, a higher power can be multiple things, right? For some people, it's the universe. For people, it's energy. For me, it happens to be the Holy Spirit and God. But, and they all relate, and to the point that really I gravitate towards you on top of who you are as a person, but how you treat others, right? And the idea is you're teaching others how to fish. You're not fishing for them, right? And I think that's a big part. I think that's the weight we have as men. That's the weight we have as leaders. That's the weight we have as caretakers. Those are all things that we both had that same discussion, right? At 10, I was told I was the man of the house. Yeah. And there's a struggle with it that to that 48 years old, 47 years old, I'm still struggling to figure out what it's like to take care of myself. But that's the beauty of it is I'd much rather be taking care of others and putting myself on the back burner and sacrificing. And yes, it's hard, than the opposite, right? The opposite is going, and I think we're still learning how to do that. And I think that's the awesome part about it, right? Is everyone sees how you interact with people and they're learning from all those things, right? They're taking it all in. All right, let's get back to kind of this wheel that we were going through, but Timber Greens, you created that in order to do the F&B component. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Massive headache. I don't want people to listen to this pod that it's all roses and unicorns.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work. And then on top of it, you add into the fact that we were the most locked down city on the planet, not by like a day, by years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the second most locked down city was like a year behind us. And so it's been hell on earth. But I've stayed relentless because people believe in me and I'm not going to let anyone down. Timber and greens for me, I'm not a foodie. You text me this morning, hey, do you want a shake from downstairs? And ordinarily I would say yes, but I don't actually eat on a Friday because I have chocolate and ice cream with my kids on the weekend. And I just need to create space And then I don't eat on a Monday.
So you fast all day long?
So I intermittent fast Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays.
And what's intermittent fast?
Yeah, so dinner the night before until lunchtime.
Okay.
So I'm never having breakfast, but on Mondays and Fridays, I'm 24 hours.
Okay.
Fridays, I'm creating space for the weekend.
Yeah.
And Mondays, I'm detoxing.
Recovery. That's awesome.
I've got a massive sweet tooth, so I'm not a foodie.
But do you drink water during that? Tea?
Yeah, only water.
Okay.
In fact, I only drink water. Up until I got married, I never had a sip of alcohol. I think this is a whole another podcast for this, but I only drink water. And when I lived in America, I had kidney stones.
Okay.
And Doc was like, man, you're dehydrated, and all these sodas, they're not actually hydrating you. So I quit sodas in 2016, and I'm just water.
Okay.
Sparkling water?
Yeah.
For water. And you can see that in my spaces as well. So timber and greens for me was not, a lot of people that are in the F&B space, they live to eat. For me, it's just a pit stop, because if I don't eat, I can't keep executing, right? We talked about putting the mask on in the airplane before you, like for me, it's like, I actually want to have dinner with you tonight if you're not busy. I booked a restaurant if you are available.
Nice. Yeah.
We don't have to do it.
Of course.
And I'm just excited about being there with you in the moment versus like, what do you want to eat?
Yeah.
That said, I've got a pretty awesome place for us to go, and my kids want to join us as well.
That's amazing.
So we'll talk about that offline. But so food and bev is not for me. I'm not a foodie. I don't live to eat. I sort of eat to live. But I recognized that actually it was important to my member.
Yep.
The convenience of a local something rather on the floor, in the space, in the building was really, it actually was a very large decision-making driven thing for our members. And so I just wanted to have that piece of convenience. And I guess if you're going to enter, I want us to be the best.
Yeah.
So we have to have the best coffee. We have to have the best snacks, the best treats, the best this, the best. And so timber and greens was a necessary evil. And I talk about our South Melbourne side a lot. That timber and greens business used to lose $5,000 a month. Used to. It's turned profitable now. We've made some massive changes in structure and food and offering and all the rest of it. And our members are responding unbelievably well to it. But it used to lose $5,000 a month. And I'm like, let's just can it. Let's just get rid of it. Like, is some of the attitude in some of the leadership team, especially in the finance division, this is killing us, get rid of it. But we stayed the course, because I felt like on the other side of the fence, literally the gate that you swipe into to get on our walking track, is $400,000 a month of office space, revenue, bookings and stuff. So if you take that out, my fear is, does that slide to 300? Does that slide to 350? Or does it slide to 200?
Yeah.
Because it's inconvenient to get in and out of the elevator and So it was a necessary evil, and I felt like it was holding up a lot. I suppose it was part of the purchasing decision. It's cafe there. Oh, that's great. We'll run an account for our staff to be able to have the best coffee in Melbourne. But now it's become a real focal point for us, specifically under Michael's leadership. For me, I was there for the experience. Michael was there for the business. Michael's building a business. I'm building a brand.
You're chasing shiny objects, and he's coming behind you, polishing them down.
Right, yeah. Well, I feel like I'm actually going through the jungle, paving out a road, and he's coming and tarring it or putting concrete on and making it nice and neat for everyone to be able to walk on. Whereas I'm happy to just swim in the sewer and swim with the crocodiles if that's what it is. But
Tasmanian devil coming through.
Yeah, so timber and greens, necessary evil, has become a really great little business story.
Yeah.
And I liken it to sort of like AirPods in the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah.
Outside, this is a standalone business. This is really just an SPV, a SBU, strategic business unit, that we have inside of us that I get to control because they're my customer, and I want my customer to be
You're controlling experience.
not worshipped, but like served well. And I don't want to farm that out to some guy that's like, you know what, like the guy downstairs, great guy. But we were here yesterday, I don't even know what time, and he shut the gates. They shut the door because no sales today, baby. So
I paid $6 for 2 little protein balls that were dry and hard. I'm like, how long has these things been sitting there? But but you're right. You get to control you get to control the execution of.
you can't check out at 2 o'clock because you haven't sold a coffee in 4 hours.
Yeah.
You got to stick there. And everyone that comes past, meet and greet and serve. And so this guy downstairs, he checked out at 2 o'clock because he hadn't done enough sales for the day and he was cutting his losses and didn't want to have his staff members sitting there all day. I'm very different to that. Fortunately, timber rooms has come really nicely. There's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in just breaking even and mildly profitable to actually like this is a real business. But it's part of the spoke in the wheel. It's not the wheel.
And so, I mean, like we were even at a location that you hadn't seen the new furniture that had been custom made and delivered outdoor furniture for the Timber Greens.
Yeah, Collingwood.
Yeah.
It was my first visit. I'd seen the same furniture in our Carlton site, which we haven't gone to today or yesterday. But yeah.
I mean, and I think that's the really cool part about it. Do you have an 11 o'clock? Are we good? Okay. And I think the next part I want to get into is back to intentionality of your personal life, right? Because I think so much of back to putting the mask on for yourself is such a big part of it. Back to your dad's story of 44. I mean, you have like kind of like you just gave me a schedule of your intermittent fast, and you have a schedule of your day-to-day maintenance, what time you wake up, what your routine is, when you check your phone, all the way through even you've got your cold plunges and your saunas scheduled. So let's run through like a typical week for you.
So for me, it sounds crazy to the listener and maybe to you, Gio, but for me, it's about manageable bite sizes frequently. So it might sound extreme, but actually it's not. So Michael is a great example. He's off to Sydney today because he's running a marathon on Sunday.
Yeah.
I could do a marathon if I trained for it, but I have no interest in the marathon because he'll blow himself out and he won't train for a week.
Yeah.
After it, right? And kudos to him, that's amazing. He's doing stuff that I literally can't do. But for me, I like to take bite sizes every single day. So my typical day is a 4 a.m. rise. I've got 2 massive giant groodles. They're 35 kilos, which I think is like 50, no, 70
80,
pounds,
yeah.
80 pounds. The 2 of them. And if I'm not up, they're pouring at me. So I take them downstairs, give them their food. I do all the washing at home. So I do all the washing and the cleaning. And then I've got a little studio in my backyard. I'm a Peloton nut. So for Sim's birthday, my wife, for Sim's birthday, I want to say like 5 years ago, I bought her a Peloton bike. And then Peloton, the tread came out. I love running. So I bought the bike and the tread. I bought all the weights and the dumbbells, the yoga mats, and then I have an Apple TV in the room as well. So I'm sort of like 20 minutes of lifting. I don't enjoy lifting. I'm 30 to 45 minutes of running, 10-minute stretch, into the shower, dressed, and I still haven't looked at my phone.
Yep.
And I try and avoid my phone until I actually walk into the office, or at least emails.
Yep.
There'll be text messages. So this morning, after I had a shower, I walked the dogs and was listening to your podcast from Brisbane, which was the second rerun, and I was texting you as I was listening because things were firing off in my head. And then I come to work. And just before I open my laptop, I take a big deep breath in. I go, all right, that time for me is no longer mine. I'm sort of here 8 till 6, pumping as hard as I can. And then at 6:30, I go home via a place called Calm Springs, which is a play on Palm Springs. So we call it Calm. And I do a 45 minutes red light sauna, followed by a 4.5 minute, 9 degrees Celsius cold plunge.
4 minutes and how many seconds?
Yeah, 4:44, man. Every time. In fact, the lady that works there, her name's Carmen, she times me. She's like, you're 4 minutes to go, 44 seconds to go. She's like, what? So,
well, it's funny, like when we sat down, for whatever reason, at 10:35, I looked at your phone, and I don't know if you noticed, I kept looking over there because I'm like, okay, 10:44, I'm cutting him off wherever he is.
But again, in the next 39 minutes, but 43 minutes. So yeah, I sit in the ice bath for 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Then I go home, have dinner, hang out with the kids. You can't get a hold of me at sort of 8 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm laying in bed reading. I might be on like social media, but it's not work stuff. It's just. And then I reckon most nights I don't see 9:30. On some nights I'll try to push myself to 10 o'clock, but come 4 a.m., it doesn't matter what time I go to sleep.
Yeah.
4 a.m., like I'm awake, no alarm. I'm ready to go again. And for me, that's manageable.
Yep.
I'm consistent with it. I think I have a 100 and, I'll tell you now, on the Peloton, I have a 123 week streak.
I don't even want to look at mine. I mean,
We're looking at consistency, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't include plunging and saunas. This is just Peloton.
Yeah.
And so,
And I think back to it, you're like, that may seem crazy. To me, it's the opposite, right? To me, it's inspirational. Like you and I had that conversation yesterday, and I was like, man, I need to get some. That's part of what the beauty of being someone like me is, and you're that, but I'd call a disciplined version of me, right? But for me, I'm constantly reacting. People are like, how do you do it? How do you have so much energy? Same as they do with you. The difference is I'm constantly reacting and chasing my tail from the minute I open my eyes and check my phone all the way to the time I go to bed, even to the point where in the middle of the night, I wake up and check my phone. And then all of a sudden I start reacting to that and I'm awake in the middle of the night. So you are incredibly disciplined and inspirational with me. And I'm going, okay, hey, if I can move, a couple percentage, points each month or each year towards that, I mean, that's what I need. But I think it's amazing, right? Because to your point is it allows for you to show up for yourself. It allows for you to show up for your wife. It allows for you to show up for your kids. And that's really why you're doing a lot of this. And you shared that is because you want to be around for your children.
150 years I want to live.
Yeah.
Because that'll give me enough time to make sure my kids are okay and safe and supported and have all their needs. So yeah, my dad he passed at 44. Maybe 144 would be a great number.
Yeah.
But I'm not out anytime soon. For me, I actually really historically hadn't paid a lot of attention to recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was doing the Peloton stuff for an hour every morning, but I wasn't the actual Calm Springs experience, the sauntering in the ice in the evening for another hour is the bookends. And it's absolute chaos in between it, but I get to put myself through paces on a personal level, and I get to unwind myself on a personal level, and then everything in between, I'm here to serve and do all that. But the recovery component.
Yeah, it's so big, especially the older we get, man.
Oh my God. And I'm sleeping deeper. I used to go to the ice bath and I'm pushing myself now, but I would only need 5 hours of sleep because that compression and that contraction within the system actually helped me recover an hour earlier than I needed.
Yeah.
So I've been able to manage and balance that, but the recovery component is just as important, if not more important, than the paces and the pushes.
And Calm Spring, we'll talk about that briefly because you just flew through it. But you advise that company, and that's how you ended up there, is kind of an exchange of services, if you will, or something along those lines. But it's because they're tapping into your entrepreneurial mind and your advising.
Yeah. So a Carmen has become, I guess, a little bit of a side hustle for me.
Yeah.
I have no financial interest in the business, but maybe this just plays to the core of this conversation. I feel like she has given me, with her products and services, such value that me just paying to go, I don't feel like I was giving her enough in return.
Yeah.
And so I said to her, like, tell me about this business. Tell me about you. Like, what's even your last name, right? And so we've gone on a journey together. And now I've got she's joined Rise, and I coach her a couple of days a week, just privately one-on-one. She's got me on call. I'm helping her with the financials and sort of mapping her business out. And again, it just comes to the fact that I feel like I am getting tremendous value from her, but paying the bill, I didn't feel like she was getting enough in return. And so I volunteered myself in support. She's been gracious to me in return as well, but I want to see her succeed. I want to make sure she sticks around and it's not just a flight risk of a great experience that no one bought into, but she's actually doing really well. The customers are loving it and growth is really great. She's about to jump off her full-time gig to focus 100% of her energy into this. I think we're at a point where the business can sustain her, but the recovery component is massive, and I'm grateful that she's running and doing what she's doing. We need more people like that in the world as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's kind of end with, your vision for where CreativeCube is headed, right? You shared kind of where you are. We ran through kind of where you want to be. You've brought, part of what you brought up last night was, okay, how can we do this in the US? And so what's your vision? And I know it's ongoing, right? Because as you see stuff, it reminds you of other things like it did last night, but just kind of in your mind right now, what do your next 5 to 10 years look like?
I just want to build great products and services and I just want to enable and create value and impact environments that we're like the neighborhoods that we're in.
Yeah.
It changes. You triggered me yesterday. I'd love to get back to the States. I've got some people there that I really miss.
Yeah.
They're not family. They're people that I grew up in Sydney and moved to Melbourne, but really I grew up in Los Angeles. And some of the people there are more family than some of my extended family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because, again, you go through these experiences together, and it was just Sim and I, and then the girls arrived 2012 and 2015.
Were they both born in the States?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Americans. And I think that's a blessing as well, right? Because I don't like the state of what Australia is turning into. And I reckon Australians will stand up and will be okay. But right now, I'm embarrassed of Australia, and I'm mortified at the same time. But I would love to get back to the States. I think that we haven't talked about CloudCubes, which is our high-tech, low-touch, maybe Best Western.
Yeah.
I don't know what Bonvoy have in that department, or it would be a Hilton Garden.
Like a courtyard or
maybe at Marion, yeah. So, we've got this CloudCube concept that potentially we could franchise. We could come in with creative corporate. We could build an amazing Rise network inside of other spaces. I really don't know is the short answer.
Yeah.
The mission and vision doesn't change in terms of goals. Like, so long as we're having positive impact and we're in a position of sustainability financially, then let's go. Let's just keep going. But I'd love to go back to the States. I don't know if Cubes is going to make it to the States. I think Australia, Michael and I want to try and get it to 35 locations across across Australia. And then maybe a list or an IPO. I actually think a natural progression or a natural exit would be some hotelier.
Yeah.
Going, you know what, like this is bigger than we thought, and you guys are doing just similar to what CBRE did with Industrious, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Where pesky flex people, oh shit, actually the customer really likes it, the consumer really likes it. Well, this is actually consuming a lot of our
Well, and it's already there, right? I mean, most people don't know that IWG's been trying to sell that they've been trying to break the $4 billion mark, and Starwood's made offers, Blackstone's made offers because they're the hospitality component. So happens that they actually own office space too, right? And so they get the hospitality, they get the need for office. And so, yeah, I think at some point those groups break into it. But yeah, 100%. Acor is big in getting into the business.
I think Acor could be a natural acquirer. The thing is, right, like, and we look at Jamie from Industrious. He went out and built a business.
Yeah.
That initially wasn't a focus. And I'd say Hannah was it Hannah? Hannah with CBRE. They're like, we can do this thing. Jamie's got nothing special. Oh shit. We actually don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And what Jamie's doing is quite special. And so they put in $500 million, and then they bought the rest of it. And now it's a force to be reckoned with inside of CBRE. Well, what's JLL or Colliers or Cushman & Wakefield? What are they doing? Or what's Accor doing?
Yeah.
You can't rest on hotelier and hospitality. There's got to be a new growth corridor for some of these organizations. And I'm not for sale, but I'm here to partner. I'm here to do stuff to help, because I feel like, and we text on this morning, that they really need an expert in residence.
Yeah.
And I know they've got some great people, but I was in a cohort yesterday where some guy shared that they brought in some amazing, widely experienced, big time, and actually he had no idea what was going on because he wasn't able to execute at grassroots. He was only able to execute in large corporate.
Yeah.
And it's different. And so I'm not saying I'm for sale, but I'm open to partner. I'm open to selling equity in the interest of growth to some of these large real estate firms. I definitely want to get into the US. Shaquille wants me to be there.
Was right behind.
Yeah, that's right. He offered some opportunity to come into Dallas, Texas, of all places, to start. And I didn't feel like I was ready. I couldn't go Melbourne, Dallas, Sydney, Adelaide. I needed to build out my own backyard first and then be able to jump the borders. So yeah, but I can tell you, and I think you can echo this in your own words, but like what we have here is really unique. What we have here is really special. What we have here is actually scalable. We're digitized, we've got product, services, experience. It's all processed and formatted. We're profitable. It's very exciting. And so I want to play in the NBA, not literally the NBA. I'm 5'10", white and Jewish. That just doesn't work. But I want to play in the top 1%. and I believe I'm capable of doing that. Maybe not on the basketball court, but in my industry, and step into my meeting rooms or my boardroom with me, and I'm going to score 40 points.
44.
Yeah, just 44 points. but if you need me to sweep the floors and carry the bags, there's no ego. I'll do that too. I just want to have positive impact, and it's an absolute privilege for me to walk down the streets holding my girls' hands, and someone goes, "Hey man, I listened to the pod, or I came into your space," and and I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool." And my kid's like, "Dad, who's that?" Like, but we had positive impact, and my girl's like, "Wow, Dad, you're amazing," and that's more than enough for me.
Right, and that's what it's about, right? And I think my response to you, as you brought that up, and for me too, Eva, is, I mean, I ended up in this GWA role, even though it was never my intention. It just kind of evolved, right? I mean, spent two years on the board, 2 years in the co-presidency, and then our executive director decided she wanted to go a different direction. It was like, who do we bring into this? And it was just a natural progression. And the reason I say that is, I know it's hard part of what we talked about is I've had to learn to celebrate me, right? And, sometimes we don't do that well. And I know it's hard to find someone as passionate and invested as I am in the industry and in people. Same thing with you. That's as I tour these spaces, and part of it, I'm impartial because I've been watching you, but you're the life, you're the heartbeat of this company, right? You're the heartbeat of all this. And, Michael's been able to step in and be other organs if we want to continue that, and his team. And so I think that's the hardest part to recreate, right? And you create the systems and all those things. And I think that's the exciting part for me, is to see how you as an entrepreneur, as a big personality, are able to grow your team to be able to step into some of those roles.
Yeah, I think the brand absolutely is hand in glove with who I am. There's no pump fake in here.
Yeah.
There's no pretending to be someone that I'm not. And I love that because it's set me free. If I have to beat to a drum that's a little off center to my core, you probably couldn't get me there.
Yeah.
So this is not about anything other than just being true to who I am. And I love it.
Yeah.
It's been hard. And I've heard the late Steve Jobs say this, you've got to be wildly passionate about what you're doing. Not because it's great and exciting, because it's fucking dark.
Yeah.
And it's messy. And business is messy.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have your passion locked in, like legit, this thing will eat you up. Not flex, but just business, commerce, people, politics. It'll eat you alive.
Yeah.
And we fought COVID. We fought dictatorial dictatorial positioning from the government.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be careful about what I say, but government occupies some of our spaces. And I like those people, even though they're on complete opposite sides, competing against each other. But I like those people because they actually care about. They come into our spaces, like our South Melbourne. I can't talk about who the MP is or the member for Parliament is, but she came in and said, "I want to be here not because I need office space, but I want to understand who my electoral customer or client is or member is."
Yeah.
And then here we have the other extreme leader in this building in Balaclava, who is exactly the same. He wants to be amongst the people.
Yeah, and I think that's, we're going to move to social political very touch point real fast. We'll kind of avoid those, but that's the problem where we are in our society, right? That's the problem that we have in our, faith-based places. That's the problem we have in our schools. That's the problem we have in our societies, is people don't want to have conversations that we need to have. It's okay to disagree with people. It's okay to have different views.
I mean, the diversity, and not from a political posturing diversity perspective, but I actually love diversity. I remember coming home from school. I caught the school bus, and I remember coming back. I think maybe like 12 or 14. I'm like, "Mom, the most amazing thing happened today." Because I lived in Bondi, it was a big tourist destination. So the local public bus not only carted me from my school back to my house, but it also brought a whole bunch of tourists. Literally on the same bus. And I remember getting on, and they were standing room only because the 2 Japanese people were in the front, followed by the Germans and the Chinese, then some people from the UK, I think some Americans. And I was like, wow, like all these different walks of life are actually sitting on the same bus, cohesively, like okay with each other.
Yeah.
enjoying the sights and sounds of what's in front of them on an adventure. And that lit me up. And my building is full of diverse people from all walks of life. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion. And we don't talk about money. And actually, when you break it all down, why I love basketball is because my 7'1" black friend over here, and I love the same game.
Yeah.
Actually, and I don't think he appreciates this, but I don't see him as a black dude. I just see him as my mate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I see him for who he is. And a lot of my black friends are very upset because they're proudly black. Hey, you should. But I actually look into your eye and I see who you are as an individual. And that lights me up. And I don't care if you've got $1 billion in your back pocket or you've got negative $1 billion.
Yep.
I'm here to support you. If you're a good person, you want to contribute positively to this world and make the world a better place, not only for my kids, but everyone else.
Yeah, and I think that's just it, right? Is as we have these, I tell people I love being challenged, right? I love receiving feedback because then it just it helps me step back and be like, I either have to support my position and have a reason to, or I need to listen to yours and understand why. And so we live in this world right now where I think you've got parts of our society, they're going, you need to do this, and we don't need to back it up. You just need to do this and believe in this or call us this or do that because you just need to. And it's like, well, this is my position, and they don't care, right? And so I think that's part of where we live today, where it's like we need to be able to sit down and have those conversations. Back to, it's funny, after the San Francisco event that we did, I got Kurt with a Census, is a really good friend of mine, and he wasn't able to attend the event. And I was walking the dog, and he sent me a text. He goes, hey, great job on this panel, right? Good job with the diversity. And I was like, I had to look at the picture and be like, oh shit, there's a black guy, a Jewish guy, a Hispanic guy, and an Asian. I put the 4 best people on that panel that I need to put up there, right? I didn't think through it, and that's what I love about Morgan Freeman's statements. So he was asked, how do you end racism? He goes, you stop talking about it, right? Back to your point is, and so we catch ourselves. And so, like, for example, as I'm trying to describe someone, literally, I avoid trying to describe their ethnicity or their color when I'm like, the girl with the curly hair. I did that yesterday, right? And you were like, oh, yeah, that's her. I didn't say anything other than curly hair, right? And I think that's what the world needs is more people that are open to having those things. And at the same time, it's like this push-pull of, I know I'm polarizing. I know I offend certain people, but at the same time, I'm not doing it because I'm trying to offend you. I'm doing it because I'm me, back to your not wanting to be anything else.
Authentically, yeah.
Well, I'm so grateful that we got this chance to interact yesterday, and I got to see your spaces. I'm going to go see a couple more this afternoon. Sounds like we're going to have dinner together. I'm going to get to meet your family. Oh, dude.
My wife is away, and so I said, Jules, let's go to this local Japanese. You like Japanese?
I love Japanese.
All right, we'll go to a local Japanese place. It's not nothing fancy. And I booked for 4 because I had Maddie and Harper, myself. I was like, Sim's away. I wonder if Gio wants to slide in.
Dude, I would love that. And so again, you inspire me, right? Not only from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, right? The way I see you live your life out in the open, openly, transparently, pouring into people, passionately pouring into people. And then even the side of you, like I said earlier, the inspiration of seeing how you care for yourself and how you create these boundaries is something that inspires me and encourages me. I mean, it's funny, and we'll have this conversation because it's a longer one, but I'm going to Samoa next week, and part of it's trying to figure out, my stuff and what I want to do moving forward, and do I keep living this chaos that is so amazing, but at the same time tiring? But literally, I decided after you and I spoke, I'm going to put a schedule together on my way on the plane, and I'm going to stick to a schedule while I'm there of, okay, this is the times I'm going to be doing 2 days while I'm there. I've got plenty of time to do it and everything else. So I'll do 2 days. I'm going to incorporate the self-care of...
But don't just do it for the sake of do it and enjoy what you're doing.
Well, part of it is sometimes you fake it until you make it, right? And
you got to break the back of it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
But once you're in it, like, I couldn't not exercise. I know there are days where I can't because I'm physically sore.
Yeah.
I have to not because I need to keep pushing myself, but because that momentum takes me through the day.
Yeah. And so it's just working through that. But again, thank you for inspiring me.
So, mate, like, honestly, I think this works really well because however you view me, I view you. And I'm inspired by you. I love the content that you put out. I'm so grateful for the time that we spent. I mean,
For sure.
I know you came and saw Brad, but I know you spent a couple of days with me.
Well, no, I saw Brad I came here just to see you. I saw Brad in Sydney. I didn't need to come here, but I was here. And again, if I flew halfway around the world, I wanted to check out as many spaces as I could.
I'm coming up to New York for GCUC.
Yeah.
I flagged down with Liz a couple of days ago. So long as nothing crazy happens here, like I should be on track to come hang with you up in North
Perfect.
America.
Well, I look forward to it. Thank you so much, and I look forward to airing this. And this is your second time on. You're one of our repeats, so we'll definitely have to get a third one on.
Well, next time we need to fill the share with Jamie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, next time we can record in New York.
There you go.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.